2 Minute Drill podcast with a special guest that we're going to tell you about in just a couple of minutes. I'm Jim Monaghan, along with that guy with the funky looking hat there, Chris Swendeman. No Can Do 55. How was Sammy Hagar at the PNC Bank Art Center, my friend?
Jim, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the man is in his 80s or 70, 78, 78. I'm sorry. I don't want to make him any older than he is. But you would never know it. He still rocks out like he did 30 years ago. Phenomenal. Between him and the band he has around him, Michael Anthony, of course, on bass, legendary and the icon, the surfer and alien himself, Joe Satriani, Kenny Arnoff on drums. I mean, just a phenomenal band. What really did upset me, though, about the show
Okay.
was his opening act.
Why?
A young fellow by the name of Rick Springfield, who decided to offend many of the men in the audience by taking off his shirt. The man should not be this ripped at his age. He's 77 and he has the body of a 30-year-old. He has gorgeous hair. I absolutely hate the ground the man walks on. No man should look like this at his age. And he sounds fantastic. It was funny. We started the night, it was raining a little bit. So it was myself, my wife, Erin, and two of our friends. And so I am there with three women. We're having dinner, eating before the show. We're watching Rick's performance on like the closed circuit
Hmm.
in the PNC Bank Art Center. And all of a sudden, everybody was kind of hanging out, just not paying attention. Rick takes off his shirt, and all of a sudden, we got to go to the seats. Where did everybody go? And I was there by myself. So, yeah, I mean, he looks and sounds phenomenal. But Sammy, I've been a huge fan of Sammy since I was a kid, since his early days of just being a solo artist before Van Halen, and he's just phenomenal. He's just such a great artist, and he's so much fun at his show. So it was great. It was
Maybe,
really great to hear.
maybe Rick Springfield is doing either Phil Collins's workout, not Phil Collins, but Phil Collin
Colin
from
from
Def
Def
Leppard,
Leppard, right?
or Mick Jagger, one or the other. Phil Collin from Def Leppard is also ripped.
Shredded,
Yeah, it's crazy.
shredded. Yeah, I mean, but this man on somebody who just turned 77 is not fair to the rest of us. I mean, whatever that line, I'll have what she's having, you
Hmm.
just turn it to what he's having because I'll take a double, please.
Well, anyway, we're a little late this week, and the reason why is an interview just plopped into my lap literally hours ahead of doing it, and I had a chance to speak with Joe Theismann, who is one of the legendary New Jersey quarterbacks. There are only a handful of quarterbacks who have gotten to the Super Bowl as a starter. And Joe Theismann is one of them from here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And he's promoting a number of things, including the 2026 American Century Celebrity Golf Championship. And I had a chance to talk with Joe about the golf tournament, his own golf game, him singing karaoke, and stuff that you and I have talked about: NIL money, name, image, likeness, the
Hmm.
transfer portal, and some stuff about the NFL. It's a very, very interesting conversation. But before I cut to that, I want to tell you a story about Joe Theismann. This goes back to the early 90s. I was working at WNAW-FM. I was the sports director, and we were doing some kind of promotion at a sports bar in Lower Manhattan. I don't remember who the sponsor was. I don't remember any of the details about it, except for the fact that I get there. Joe Theismann comes in. I introduce myself to him. There are some younger staff members from either a PR company or whatever product was being hawked. Not quite sure what it was.
Right.
It involves setting up some stuff. And during the process of that, they're bringing in automobile tires, not mounted, but just the rubber tires.
Right.
And
Right.
who's
Right.
carrying the tires? Joe Theismann.
Oh, wow.
And I'm watching this, Chris, and like, this guy's legendary. And he's carrying equipment. Like, he's not saying to some lackey, I need you to put
Right.
this here, you put this over there. And let's get this set up in 15 minutes. He's doing the heavy lifting himself. I can't
Wow.
tell you how many times since that day I've either done some kind of an appearance or I've had to do something that involved something I may not have wanted to do. And in the
Right.
back of my head, all I can think of is if Theismann can bring in automobile tires, Monaghan can do whatever it
X.
happens to
Right.
be. I have carried that with me, and I told him this before we did the interview. I said, "You're not going to remember this. It's 30 years ago," and I set the whole thing up. And I was right. He didn't remember it. But what he did remember was the work ethic involved. And maybe that's Jersey strong. I don't know. He's one of us. He was born here, went to high school here. Yes, he went to college at Notre Dame.
Of course. Right.
But he's a Jersey kid. And
Absolutely.
maybe that's the way his upbringing was. Like you're never too good to do something. And if you want to make sure it's done right, well, make sure you get your hands dirty.
Yeah, that's really impressive. I mean, for a guy of his stature, a guy who's had such a storied career, college and pro, as he did, to still remain, humble and to be able to, do something like that for yourself and to help out and lend a hand or whatever the situation is, to do that, to never be too big for your britches. That's very Jersey-esque and that's very impressive. I love that story.
So the next time you are confronted with something that you really don't want to do, but you know it has to be done, I want you to think in the back of your head, if Theismann can carry those automobile tires, I can do whatever it happens to be. And with that, here's my conversation. Chris couldn't be a part of it. Next time, talk to your boss. Tell him you need 30 minutes to sit down with a NFL legend. But here's my conversation with the legendary Joe Theismann. There are a number of former New Jersey high school quarterbacks who have appeared in the Super Bowl. One of them has been there twice. Joe Theismann, welcome. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Jim, thanks so much for having me. Great to catch up with you.
Only three New Jersey quarterbacks have started. You did it twice, Joe Flacco and Neil O'Donnell, who actually played high school football in the town that I live in. It's a very short list of New Jersey-based quarterbacks.
Yeah, but considering there's only been 60 of them, that's not too bad a percentage. Having three of us, I imagine there are guys from different states, probably California, maybe or Florida. But anyway, we're proud of the three that were there.
And oddly enough, all three of you from public high schools. There's a big New Jersey parochial and private school football scene here these days,
Uh-huh.
and those kids are getting all the press and all the Instagram and all of that. And you look at it going, public school, public school. Wow, maybe there's something to it.
Please don't let them get NIL money yet. There's certain states that are approving it for high school kids, and I just think that that road that we're going down, the road that we're on right now, there's got to be some kind of guardrails put up, or else it's just going to get worse and worse and worse for the kids.
I'm glad you brought NIL money up because it is one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. I understand why it's happening.
I do.
The NCAA and these schools have made a fortune off of these kids. And I think back to when you were at Notre Dame and what you would have brought in. At the same time, Pandora's box has been opened,
Yeah,
and there are so many areas that this could just get really dangerous for the entire sport of football at the collegiate level. What are your thoughts?
I agree. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. It is out. I have mixed thoughts. I think there's got to be some type of a restraint put on it. There should be a cap. I understand that, I think the colleges have like a $22.5 million cap, the big colleges. And that's how much they can spend. Most of it goes to football, some to basketball, and, some to other sports. But then you have a consortium of people, alumni, that contribute a ton of money to be able to make the pot bigger. And what we're seeing kids chase money. You've got agents that I don't know any in particular, but I know that there are people out there representing these young athletes and hoping to try and get more. And it's just that, and between that and the portal, it's crazy. The portal contributes to not being able to stay someplace and compete a job. Coaches won't put out spring rosters, Jim. Because if you see that you're number 2 or 3, well, you're just going to go someplace else because you've been recruited by other schools. And it's crazy. The NIL situation is one where I suggested this a long time ago. Really, when it first came to the beginning, nobody was interested in it, but I'll share it with you. What they should have done, if they want to give the athletes money, what you do is you create a trust in their name and you give them a percentage. And it really started, I think, with Trevor Lawrence and jersey sales. So you give them a percentage, put it in a trust. When you leave school, you can have the money. It protects a little bit of the integrity of college athletics. This whole thing about student athletes now, I don't think it's applicable. These are just athletes that are getting paid, and that's what they're doing. And they're moving to the biggest dollars. But there's the harsh reality of life is out there. When this experiment is over, or when this fantasy world is over for them, you're not going to be able to go to a job and think that there's another one out there that's going to pay you more and another one that's going to pay you more and keep moving around. You're going to have to work for what you want, and you're going to have to earn it. And today it's a different story in college athletics. I mean, what are we basically teaching young men and young women? Chase the big buck. But sooner or later that big buck stops. So now what are you going to do? Have you protected the money? Have you got a chance to be able to do something with your life? Those are all the questions that remain to be seen.
I coach high school baseball, and so I have some contact with different college coaches over the course of the year, and they've told me over the past few years how much the NIL and transfer portal especially has changed college baseball, and they're not entirely happy about it, Joe.
No, I guarantee you they're not. I mean, I don't know how you recruit today. How do you recruit somebody? Well, you can be like Indiana. Just go after older players, 21, 22-year-old kids. You're going to have them for a year, but you've got basically 3 or 4 years on most other universities. And you can't say, oh, I'm not going to do it, because you have to. You're almost forced into that. Debo ran into that down in Clemson. Well, that's something we're going to do. Yeah, you have to. Unfortunately, like I said, there's got to be some guardrails that come in somewhere, and especially with coaches. I've said this. Any college president that signs a coach to a 10-year contract should not be a college president. You give them a 5-year contract with a 5-year option, because you don't have to go get these big name coaches. There's a lot of really, really great coaches out there that maybe don't have the pedigree or the name, but they're really, really good at what they do. So instead of rewarding them with these 10-year deals, which is absurd in my mind, we see how many schools, A&M paying out, LSU paying out, different universities, after 3-4 years. Hey, if you can make it 5 years, you deserve another 5. If our program is where we want it to be, then you deserve it. If not, we'll find somebody else.
I want to pivot to something that's coming up in a couple of weeks, and that is the 2026 American Century Celebrity Golf Championship, July 10th through the 12th, with $750,000 prize money. They've given away $8 million in charity contributions over the years. How's your short game these days?
My short game is really good because my long game is not here. The older you get, I find you just don't hit the ball as far. Most par fours for me are driver, 3-wood, and then it's a question of being able to chip and putt. And I've been spending a lot of time working on it. Matter of fact, I just took an old club out of my garage to put in my bag to start working with. It's a sand wedge that I've had for a long time, modified a little bit, but it's just great. And the American Century Golf Championship is unbelievable. And like I say, we raised over $8 million for the charities, and the Stour Institute in Kansas City, as well as other local charities up in the Lake Tahoe area. We're expecting over 70,000 people again this year. And we've got a really, really neat aspect to it. It's called the American Century Championship Fantasy Golf Competition or Contest. And what you can do, you can log on to ACC Fantasy Golf and find out all of the rules and everything, but I'll give it to you in a capsule version. We're all broken down into 5 groups based upon our ability to play. I'm not in group 5. I'm in group 4, but I've worked from group 2 to group 4, but I'm still there. And you select one person from each group. each day. You can change each day if you'd like as well. If you win that day, you wind up getting 2 tickets to next year's tournament free. If you win the overall, you wind up with a $10,000 check to donate to the charity of your choice. And it's, you take into consideration a company like American Century Investments and what they represent. They donate 40% of their dividends to the Stour Institute for Research on Cancer and Other Diseases. I mean, here's a company that is committed to helping people. They're committed to be able to do things, I think, the right way. And to have the name associated with it and be a part of this tournament. This is the 37th year, and I've been in 36 of them, Jim. I've watched it grow from the 17th hole, which is on the lake, where there were 400 or 500 people, to 3,000 or 4,000. And I've maybe 10 or 15 boats on the lake, now 200-300 boats. It's an unbelievable spectacle, a great chance. And you know what it is for people that come there? You really get a chance to see the athletes, actors, entertainers out of their environment. You get to see them as people. And that's what I enjoy, being inside the ropes, is to run into the people I've met and known for so many years. And we've got a star-studded cast. John Smoltz, Marty Fish, who's been real close, has won it and been real close. Steph's going to be there, Curry. Annika Sorenstam, who I love to stand next to on the range just to try and pick up lessons of how she hits the ball so well, so far, and with such accuracy. Charles will be there. Larry the Cable Guy, again, will be there. Bobby Flay's coming this year. Because I like everybody else, I guess, as much Food Network is on, I wind up watching it a lot. So it's a lot of fun. But it's a great experience, a great opportunity. And like I say, you can go to ACC Fantasy Golf and play the game, log on, get the rules, and have a fun time over the 3 days we're on. We're on NBC and Peacock as well.
Smalls has an unfair advantage, though, because, he was retired for a while, but he was a pitcher. So he had all that free time to play golf.
He worked one day and played golf 3.
Right.
And I'm not even sure he took the day off when he played golf, to be honest with you. And, Smoltzy's unbelievable. There's different guys I look at, and there's Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Been sort of nicked up the last couple of years, but he's one to keep an eye on. We've got a number of guys to keep an eye on. Jack Wagner. Jack's been there all 37 years. And so Jim McMahon is another one that's been there all the years. And like I say, there's so many, Jerry Rice, Jerome Bettis. I mean, Tim Brown. Tim Brown had a hole-in-one last year. We had a bear on that same hole, the par 3. There was just a family, 2 bears that just sort of crossed over and went into the woods. I mean, it's exciting. It really
Can I play through?
That's exactly right. I'll play through. Be my guest. Go right ahead.
When did the pairings get announced? I think you were with Mike Vrabel and Kyle Juszczyk last year.
On Sunday, I was. Yeah. What we'll do is Wednesday night we'll have the pairings. It'll be so Wednesday night would be, if the tournament starts on Friday, it would probably be the 8th or 9th. We'll get an idea. We have a wonderful karaoke night on Thursday night, and lots of people. Rich Eisen sang last year, New York, New York. Larry the Cable Guy does it. Brett Baer does an unbelievable job. Of course, the one guy that really is fantastic to watch, has a little bit of an advantage is Alfonso Romero. He's an entertainer. He's a singer. He's a dancer. Heck of a golfer. He usually puts on a heck of a show too.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Mine?
Yeah.
My Way by Elvis.
Okay.
But I'm not involved in the karaoke. I can't sing. Matter of fact, I used to have to sit in the front pew in church because my mother figured the only person I had to insult was the preacher, because everybody else would get sick of hearing my voice. So I love to sing in the shower. I love to sing in my car. I love to sing at home, but I can't sing. I couldn't carry a note if somebody put in a bucket for me.
Let me pivot back to football. It has become virtually a year-round thing when you think about it, between the draft and then the OTAs, and you've got preseason training, and then the preseason games and the regular season. And we get to February and the Super Bowl. We take a couple of weeks off, and then the whole cycle starts all over again. Games are on all different nights of the week. At what point do you think the game is in danger of becoming oversaturated?
I don't think it will, because there's 17 games now. You're only going to play 17 of them. I mean, everybody would say we'd love to have it back just on Sundays, but there's too many services out there. The league makes too much money from too many different avenues. So you're going to see it on YouTube. You're going to see it on Amazon. You're going to see it everywhere out there. Um, but like I said, it's a limited amount of games. It's not like baseball or basketball or hockey where you have upwards of 80. In the case of baseball, many more than that. But everybody sets a night. We used to set Monday night was the night. That was the special night. It was a special night to play. Now you have to prepare yourself in 3 days to play a game. You play Sunday, you play Thursday, then you get 10 days off. I mean, you have to be very conscious in regulating your schedule of what you want to do. Plus, I think we're going to have 10 games out of the country this year. We've got games, you've got a game in Australia, which is a long, long way away. I broadcast for ESPN for a number of years where we did preseason games from Tokyo. And that was an adjustment for athletes coming back. One of the things that I think the league really has to do, Jim, is they have to look at the size of the rosters. You can't have 53 guys on a roster and expect to play 18 football games, which they want to prove probably will get approved in the next year or so. You can't do it. 2 years ago, I think 61 different quarterbacks started in the National Football League. This year, it was in the high 50s. Heck, the Indianapolis Colts had to dip into the ancient time to get Phillip Rivers at the age of 45 to put on a uniform. Now, to be honest with you, the guys that were on the sidelines and available, that doesn't speak much for them when they had to go to a 45-year-old quarterback. But that's, we're in a place where entertainment is the key. Lots of people want it on their service. And I think we're going to see it, but it is a limited number. That's the thing. Supply and demand is a big thing when it comes to economics. And I think we have a small supply and a great demand of what we look for in football.
You can check out everything about the American Century Celebrity Golf Championship, by the way, on the website at AmericanCenturyChampionship.com. Joe Theismann, I can't thank you enough for your time. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Hope to see a lot of people out in Lake Tahoe. Thank you.
He's so easy to talk to, Chris.
I'm sure. You know what? That's one guy where I always got the impression that he would be. Like that's not like a facade when when the camera goes on, he's like that. I always got that impression of him. So that makes me happy that he is really that way.
And again, the 2026 American Century Celebrity Golf Championship coming up in a couple of weeks. And I think there's like $750,000 in prize money. And they've given more than $8 million to charity. So it's a very worthwhile cause. And you can get details on that at AmericanCenturyChampionship.com. So that wraps up the 2-Minute Drill podcast for this week with our special guest, Joe Theismann. You know what we say. If you like what we do, tell a friend, tell somebody. If you hate what we do, tell an enemy. Like, subscribe, make some comments, and we'll talk to you next week.
You got it, Jim. Great job.